How do you correct the mistakes of the past? Is the question for tonight. How do you correct the mistakes of the past so that you can move in to a life without pain, and then you can move on? Let's begin with having children. Do you think that if children was something that we buy with money, that there will be so many children on earth today? If people have to go queue in the line to buy it, and then you have to wait for 7 years to have one, for one to be made for you, do you think that people will go ahead to have kids and explode children everywhere? Let's face it. Let's talk about it. Did you ever think about that? Yeah. How to correct the mistakes of the past. That's what we are talking about tonight. My name is Idika Imeri. We are dealing with Today is Your Day. I've not heard Victoria's voice. How do you correct the mistakes of the past concerning having children? If children was what people have to buy, you have to queue on the line to go and fill out long paperwork. Then you have to wait for one to be manufactured for you. Do you think people will have children like this? So number one, why do people have children? Why do they make babies? Why do people have kids? Should kids just come out of mistakes or out of having sex? Should children be planned? Should you plan having children? Is that something you should plan for? Is that something that you should space? Should you use, are they things that you should put in place to protect you from having sex and not having children with it until you are ready for babies? Then you can have babies, you can have kids. What should be the way that this thing should be done? You see, we are talking about the mistakes of the past, and the mistakes of the past has come with pain and suffering. Having children is not enough. Just saying I have kids is not enough. The point is, do you have what it takes? Do you have the quality of life to produce quality children and give them quality life so that they become a protected and privileged children? I cannot tell you how I used to feel when I was in high school. Some children were brought to school by their father. Their father was a governor, or they work in the big oil firm. They were treated differently. I was more intelligent than they were, but they were treated differently and had more worldly things to enjoy than myself. That's when I look at, for example, if I'm going to school, my parents never prepared for me a lunch box. But those children, their parents prepared lunch boxes for them. At least few of them in each classes I was, from elementary to high school. Their parents came more to meet the principal of the school or the head teacher to discuss issues. My parents never were there. So you know what I did? From the time that I went to elementary, from the time I finished elementary and I was entering into secondary school, what we call secondary school. I don't know whether secondary school here comprises of middle school, junior high, and all of that. I don't know. Ours is you finish elementary, which is 5 years, which is 6 years. Then you go to high school, which is 5 years. Total of 11 years. That's the way it is in the British system. So we don't have something like middle school, junior high, all of that doesn't exist. It's all one thing. You come into secondary school or comprehensive or grammar school or trade school, you do 5 years, you take your trade exam or you take your GED or high school diploma or something of that nature. You take it, you are done, you go and take exam to go into university. That's it. We don't have colleges. We have universities. So I don't know. Here is different. So when I started watching how the rich, how the protected and the privileged and protected class lived, when I finished my elementary, that was the end. I'm telling you guys the truth. That was the end for me to see other children coming with lunch boxes, with their father bringing them on luxurious cars to school. Mine is, there is no luxurious car to bring me to school. There are no horses, no cows or elephant to bring me to school. At least if I was to live in India, I'll have the privilege of having a cow or having a buffalo or having an elephant taking me to school. Some people ride elephants or even a donkey. We didn't have none. The cars that was available in the family was shared by everybody. So nobody has time for you. It was for business. Nobody has time for you. If you survive, you survive. I still remember one day when I was so sick because I was born, I came out infected with the malaria thing. I almost died. Thank God for New York Lutheran Mission medical doctor that said, no, we are going to keep this one alive. And they told my parents what will happen if they pump me with all those medicine when I grew up. My parents said, as long as they keep me alive. I still remember that I was so sick that I will not tell you which of my parents says. They say, well, you can let him go. If he want to go, let him die. I heard it. And I'll never forget it. We are talking about quality of life versus quantity of kids. Because we have that mentality that it is God who gives children. Yes, it is God who has thrown the law already out there, but God is not in control of it anymore. When God releases the blessing, it's out of his hand. When he releases the curse, it's out of his hand. Just like he releases the multiplication, that when a man and a woman who are fatal, have no blockade in their systems, when they meet, children are gonna come. It is your place to decide how the children comes. That's just the way it is. It's no longer in God's hand. It's no longer that it's the gift of God. The gift of God was given a long time ago. It was already programmed into human beings. Now it is the gift of humans. That's why Jesus called himself the Son of God, Son of Man. He is a gift of God. Do you think if Mary said no to God's will, God will force it on her? No, God will not. One of the mistakes that we make is we do not plan for children. We do not plan for children. And because we don't plan for children, suffering and pain comes. And when the children are born, we are all happy that a child is born, blah, blah, blah. But then, when we begin to raise the kids, the responsibility and duty that comes with it, after all that pain and suffering to raise kids, send them to college, and it's gonna show up in your physical body, whether you like it or not. It's gonna show in you growing gray before your time. It's gonna show in different form of traumatic experiences and mental breakdown that you're gonna suffer. Mary, make sure you're writing this first video down. The mistakes of making children, making babies without planning for them. Because before you start having children, you should plan that you want children. And you only want children because you have a roof. You got a roof. You got a car. You yourself, you've trained yourself. You've had professional training, college education, not just 2-year career, but 4 years, not just 2-year educational training, but you have a baccalaureate at least. So that if you want the 2 years to be for technical training and the remaining 2 years to be for academic training, at least you have an associate degree or a technical 2 years or a technical 1 year, and then you finish the 3 years in an academic environment. One thing I don't understand is, well, we will go into that. We'll go into when we come to training, professional training, and academic, all of that. We'll go into the mistake people make. But we are looking at the mistakes of not planning for children. Just allowing children to come, so you yourself, through whom the kids came, you're suffering, the children themselves are suffering, and by the time you know it, the children are taking out their suffering, whether emotional, whether shame, whether the guilt of being born into this type of family. They begin to take it out on each other. And that is where the foundation of family breakup begins. Children begin to be ashamed of their parent. They begin to be guilty that they came to you. The kids will not want to share much with you, with the parents. They will not want to do it because they discover that they were born into quantity, but they were not born into quality. They have nephews, cousins, aunts, and nobody has become famous. Nobody has become a millionaire. No billionaire in the family. Even those who go to college cannot even use their degree for anything except work for government or work for some private company. And there is no money there. There are children who have never been to vacation. They don't know what the holiday of vacation looks like. Including myself. I mean, I'm talking of outside the family, where you fly and go somewhere and you see a world that is better than, more beautiful than where you were born. And so we fool ourselves by telling ourselves that it is God who gave. Well, God gave it since the days of Adam and Eve. He programmed it into humans that they will clone themselves. They will clone, C-L-O-N-E. C-L-O-N-E. They will clone themselves. It's part of it. And you will see religious groups who do not want women to space. For example, you look at the tool, the beating that the woman has to go through, not the man, in having children constantly. Every week, it's like a week, even though it's every 9 months. But it becomes like a week. Yeah, looks to me like my mother. It used to be like a baby is born. By the time we know it, another baby is already on the way. I'm like, what is happening? Who is giving you guys all these babies? And many a time when people don't have, there's no hobbies, there's no professional skill, no academic training, no quality job, just petty traders. The parent too begin to take it out on the children. The children begin to take it out on the parent and on each other. Thank God none of my brothers and I went to jail. We never did because we just follow orders. You have to follow orders. If not, you're going to get a thorough beating from your parents. I'm serious. It's not like here that you will call cops on your parent. You call cops, the cops will beat you. Your parents will beat you. Your uncles will beat you. Your aunties will beat you. Your cousins and nephews who are bigger than you, they will beat you too. So you are better shut your mouth and stay there and take it like a child. So when I saw the way the children of the rich were being treated, they came with their lunch boxes, they had good clothes, they were more better dressed than the rest of us. Nice sandals, nice shoes, nice pants. We call it trouser. What we call pants here, we call it trouser. Pant actually is the inner wear in the British system. So you look at their trousers, you look at their sandals or their shoes, their nails were well done, their hairs were braided. You know what I told myself after elementary? Immediately I was about to enter into 5-year high school. During the summer I started work. While I was my last year in elementary, I started to work. I started to have a job. I decided that I'm not gonna be what I saw throughout my 6 years in elementary. I'm not gonna be that way. I made that promise. Nobody told me. That's why when people begin to tell me nobody want to help me, nobody want to do things, I was born this way, I was born that way, I just laugh at them. I just think that they are the most stupid people in the face of the earth. When people start to tell you the story why they couldn't do anything, I think they are the most stupid people in the earth. I saw how other children, the children of the protected and the privileged, how they were treated. They were carried in cars to school. Their parents come and talk with the teachers. My parents never came. After the day that I was beaten by more than 50 boys who beat me because I didn't belong to that area, that was the only reason why they were beating me. A little kid in elementary. After that, I promised that anybody who tried to fight me will die in the fight. That's what I decided. That is gonna be, I'm gonna tell them I don't want many people. Choose your leader, let him come and fight me. That's what I decided after that. And nobody ever dared me. Because I become like a devil. Things happen that changes people. After that beating that I received from several boys, I made up my mind that I'm going to take people one-on-one. I will not allow a crowd to come against me anymore. But then I also saw how the privileged and the protected children were treated. Because their parents had them only few. My mother had 10, 2 died. Other people that lived in the same neighborhood, all of them had large family. They were all broke people, like the rest of us. So you know what I did? My first year of going into what we call secondary school, which will be, what is secondary school equivalent of Mary, Lizzie, Samantha? Help me here. What do they have here? Because they have like junior this, middle this, all of that. I don't understand it. I only know of you do 6 years elementary, 5 years high school. That's what I know. I don't know about all these different things. You know, and what it is about.
Primary, middle, and high school. That's all I know here.
What do they have here?
Elementary, middle, junior high, and high school.
They have elementary, junior high, and high school. Which one is middle school?
Yes. And 7th.
I don't know. Here they call it. Yeah, here they call it grade. There we don't have no grade. We have no grade. There is no grade. Yeah, so I don't understand the grading system here. Thank God that I never, apart from being a head teacher in an elementary school back in Africa, and also teaching in a secondary school. Outside that, I've only taught in college. I like college better because it's a straightforward thing. I don't understand these other ones. After seeing the way the children of the rich and privileged were treated, you know what I did? My last 1 or 2 years before I finished elementary, I started to prepare for high school. Number one, I took the federal. There is a state high school and there is a federal high school. So I took the exam for the federal high school. My parent paid for me to take the exam for the state high school, but the federal high school is for the privileged class. So the money that I've saved since I was little, I was saving money. My parents didn't know. My mother never knew. All the money I was saving, I used part of that money and registered myself. My parents never knew. I registered myself and went and took the federal high school exam. Nobody told me to do any of these things. That is why if you wait for God to do certain things for you, God will never come true. Because God is waiting to see your curiosity for life. God is waiting to see whether you want something for yourself without anybody telling you that you should go and do it. Those are the people who succeeded in life. That's why I'm proud of myself, because I'm a very curious person. I'm a sensitive person. And behold, when we went for the exam, it was on a Saturday for the federal high school. Who was in the exam hall with me? It was me and Governor Iswene, the governor of the state. He was a governor for many years. He came from the city. He was born and he was always home. He was always home from the governor's mansion in Calabar. He was always home. His daughter's name was Imeri Swene. She was the one. Two of us were sitting federal exam. Can you believe that? Her daughter and I were sitting the exam only. And the rest, the children of the poor, were not there. Even though the children of the middle class, so I thought, middle class, my foot. And what was the daughter doing? The daughter sat by me for the exam. We finished the exam. By the time you know it, I have passed the state one, and my father said I should start. That was what my father was good at, was he bought me all the books before the school began, some few uniforms. Nobody really cares for anybody. Children are children. There is nothing like quality. Nothing. Like really sitting you down. It was later that my father now discovered who I was and now began to pay me attention. Especially after my senior brother failed him. And then he began to remember all that was said about me and what people began to say about me and what were happening through me. My father then began to switch towards me. My mother cared less. Do I blame her? No. She had so many children. Until they called my mother baby mama. Baby mama in Africa means the woman with many children. From the same man. Not here. Here, baby mama means somebody that has children for you and have children for another one and have children. In Africa, it's different. It's a woman who gives birth almost every year. Same father, same mother. We are all from the same father, same mother. So my mother is baby mama. Or mama babies. The woman who makes big children, a lot of children. They give them the name baby mama. Babies like that woman. That's why they keep coming. That woman and her husband, they like babies. Please, somebody should go away a little bit from your phone so that we cannot hear you breathing. Please, if you are tired, if you are really tired, if you came to the conference tired, please go home. Go home, go home, go home. or go and find something to eat and drink while you listen. Now let's continue. Shortly after, a week after I entered into high school, I heard that, what do you call it? I heard that, what is it? The entrance, the federal entrance we took is out. And what happened? I was told that I have passed. I think I was the only person that passed, something like that. So now I am to go to federal college and to switch over. My father said, you are not going anywhere because we don't have anybody there. We don't know anybody there. Where they have asked you to go, everything is free. The federal government will pay for it. My father said, no. See? You have parents who are not well trained. You have parents who don't really see the world beyond where they are. What do you think is going to happen? Every privileges that comes your way, that you yourself work, you try to work for yourself, what do you think will happen? You think that they will give you, they will ask you to go. No. My father said, you are not going. I will have been in America since I was in high school. A family came for me. A family called me. A family sent my visa. My father said, I don't know who they are. Family. In Brooklyn, New York. Another family, there was another family in New York, New York. Then a family in South Korea. My father said no. Can you imagine that I would have been here a long time ago? I would have finished my high school here. Think about that. And if they allowed them to have adopted me, I could have run for the presidency or for anything. So that's my story. When I saw that, my father said, no, you cannot go to federal school. Which that was school for the privileged and the protect. My father said no. So I remained in the state high school. But you know what I did? My very first year in high school, I went to my own tailor. I chose my own tailor, not my parent, not my uncles, nobody. I chose my own parent. I chose my own tailors. I began to look for people who were better than my parent to associate with them. I began to do that without not telling my parents. When I go to them, my parent will never know. And I began to ask questions. Then I found my own tailor, somebody to sew my own clothes. I began to ask them to make clothes for me. I began to buy my own clothes and I changed the way I looked. I went and bought my own sandals, bought my own shoes, bought my own school bags. I changed everything about me. You know what I did? Every day after school, I go and work. I went and worked in my father's shop or in my mother's shop or in my uncle's shop, and they paid me good money. And I went and put it in a bank. That's the money that when my father passed away, that I used to start life and gave some to my mother. If you want the good things of life, it start from the word go. So as not to upset my other siblings, I make sure that I did not prepare lunch box. But there was no day throughout high school that I did not have the best lunch. You know what happened? The children of the rich began to roll with me of their own because they discovered that I had what they got. I dressed better than them. I began to look polished more than them. I began to buy perfume when I was in high school to put on. I began to dye my hair to look like them and to roll with them. And you know what? In terms of intelligence, I was better than them. I had better grades. I became a leader right from when I was in high school. You will allow people who don't even have the kind of brain that you have, the kind of mind that you have, to be the one that will rule over you. I refuse. The children of the rich began to depend on me for what? For academics, for what I was good at. Why am I telling you this story? Because my parents didn't plan for me before I came into this world. I just came. Go and look. There's a difference between what is planned and what is not planned. There's a difference. When you find out that you were not planned for, you just happen to be pulled out. You plan for yourself. You plan for yourself. And that is just the way it is. There was nobody to talk to me about how to raise children, how to plan for it. I find out all this. I'm telling you, I found out for myself. I didn't go for no seminar. I didn't go to read no big books. I have to find things out for myself. How many of you today will say you planned for children? You space them out so that you will not be bothered. The children will not be a burden for you. You space them. You say, after 5 years, I'll have another child. After 5 years, I'll have another child. Or I'm going to finish my training, buy this, have this in place, have this amount of money in place, have all this in place. Then I can now start having children because I'm prepared for them. I have what it takes to have children easily. I plan for them. I really want them. I truly need them. There is a need for it. You are not having them because very soon you will reach 50. You can't have children. So why didn't you start early to finish training and academics and all that? Then a job, then a house, then a car, then all that. What a child will need to feel privileged and protected. So let me ask you, did you plan for your child? Did you plan for your child, or your child just came and you thank God for it? And still after your child came, did your child motivate you? Did your child motivate you to strive for a better life? Because the birth of a child, knowing that this child will not have no money to inherit. This child will have to walk and go to somewhere to go and get into school bus. If there are school buses, if there are no school bus, that child is going to walk like I did to school. Come rain, come shine. So these are things, these are the common mistakes that people make that turn around to bounce back on them. And we have to begin to tell our children our story so that they don't make the mistake that we made in the past. Because when it comes to having children, a lot of us have made a lot of mistakes here. When I see people who are still fighting over the right for a man to wear a condom, the right for a woman to have some protective mechanism put into her so that she will not just be having kids just like that. And people are fighting these things. I think that they are stupid. These people are criminals. Because they feed on the poor. They feed on the poor. Like the Roman Catholic Church fights against these kind of things. They fight against it. Why? Because it's from the poor people that they are getting their workers from. They are getting their workers from the poor class. I mean, if they get privileged class, the privileged class are coming because they've seen money is there. And the privileged class children are the ones who are going to be the bishops. They are going to be in charge of the money. And the rest will be the poor priests, the foot soldiers. So they tell women not to use contraceptives. Who tell you women should not use contraceptives? There are women who they just want one child, but their husband want to have sex every day. So shouldn't the woman has a mechanism by which the man can have all the sex he wants in the world without this woman giving birth? And sometimes the woman's body has not yet truly generated all the resources it needs for her to get back into shape and into the game. Already she's pregnant again. Let me tell you, it's not easy to be a mother. It's the biggest degree you can have is being a mom. And you should do everything not to bring any suffering into your life, including having too many children. It's a sin. It's not a good thing, because you will not be able to talk about just one child is enough headache. Talk about having 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, up to 20. And some men will go about having children all over the town. They will pregnant every woman in the town. They don't even know which is which anymore. Including the mad women on the street, they will pregnant them all. And have babies from them all. Is that fair to the women? No, it's not fair. So it's the first mistake that is happening, and it's still happening now. You see girls leave high school, next thing they are pregnant. They don't have no job. I see kids who finish from high school. Immediately they finish from high school, they are already on social security. They are already on Section 8. They have not had no job yet. They don't want to work. Is that fair to the society? Is that fair to the tax system? Is that fair to democracy? No. These are the things you have to tell your children. I attended a high school graduation a few years ago of Geneva's daughter, Kiwana. And there was this guy, he's a Latino guy, who was graduating that day. You know the gift they gave to him, I was watching. They tied a lot of condoms on a tall stick. And somebody carried it on his shoulder and also attached a pañada full of chocolate and attached a pañada full of money. People were putting money there inside the pañada. But in between the chocolate, the money, in the middle of it was a lot of condoms hanging. You know the statement they are making? They say, you've been sexing since you came out of the belly. You are not bringing no child here. That's your protection. So I went to the boy. I went to him and I shook his hand. He smiled. He came and gave me a hug. He's a very affectionate guy. He was graduating. I said, pay attention to. I said, I hope you pay attention to that gift that guy gave. He said, oh, he loves it. He told me, whispered in my ear. He said, come here. I came. He said, I've been using it already. Yes. So the family knows him. The family already knows that he's been having sex since he was born. So they put in the middle, see, in the front of the tall stick is a peñada full of chocolate. In the middle are condoms hanging. A lot of them. Different types. Condoms for people with bigger wood. Condoms for small man. Condoms for fat man. Condom for bald-headed men. Condom for tall man. Condom for short dwarf men. Condoms of all types was there. And then at the end of it, At the end of it was money. I said to him, let's reverse it. That's what I told the guy. I said, let's take the money and put it first here. And then the chocolate should be in the middle. And then the condom should be at the other end. He said they are good where they are now. I took a picture of him with it. I'm serious. Yeah. So he told me, come here, let me whisper something to you. You guys told him, are you going to use all these condoms? That's a lot. It's like more than 100 condoms. I said, are you going to use all these condoms? He said, come here, let me whisper something. He said, I've been using them already. I know how to use them. I said, good. I said, you're going to need them so that you can finish. Are you going to college? He said he's going for a 4-year college at Las Vegas, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, that he's going there. Unilas. Is it Unilav or what? He said he's going there. I said, good. I said, you're going to need that. You don't need no children yet. He said, I understand. I don't need that headache. I said, good. And I left him. See, that family is prepared for that boy. They are prepared for him. Next thing I discovered about that boy was that throughout his time in high school, he had a job. He has a job. He was going to his job and going to school. And they told me that that boy used his own money from his job to buy himself a car. He was driving his own car in high school. He went and bought some stupid car. I saw it. But that was a car. And that's what he was using to carry all these girls and go and use condoms and have sex with them. And party with them. Yeah. You see what is the card they gave to him is party. He loves to party. So he had to go and work for it. The parents don't have no money. So he chose the life, and that was me. I chose my own life. That's why I had a dream of a woman bringing me twin daughters long time ago. And I told my mom, say, if you ever get anybody pregnant, you ever get married, get somebody pregnant, it's gonna be twins. I saw them a long time ago. And what happened at the end? I had twins, and I told my mom and my dad, I said, I'm only going to have two girls. I don't want no boy. I started to talk about it right from when I was my first year in high school. I'm going to have 2 daughters. They might be twin, I don't know. But once I have 2 girls, I'll stop. I don't need no boy. And that's very unique, because 100% almost of every African man want a boy, not a girl. If you're a woman, you don't give them a boy. Mary, tell them what happens. If you don't have a boy, you are not even in a marriage. If you're a woman, you have not yet come to marriage yet. You are still outside. Mary, is that not true? In fact, the family of that man will come and drive you out of that marriage. You better. If they cannot drive you, they will go to voodoo for you to kill you or remove you from there. And that man will go and have sex with other people and have a boy. That's why I'm very, very unique. I didn't want no boy. I needed girls. And there was a reason why I needed girls. There is something about women that was revealed to me since I was young. And you remember that I grew up among elderly women and a few elderly men. So there was something I discovered about the women that make me swear I don't need no man. That I need the girls. And that was me. And you see, after I finished having, I just went in, had two daughters, identical, I stopped. No more till today. Anybody who come and tell you that they have a kid from me are bloody liars. They're looking for money. I will tell the person, let's go for a DNA test. Let's go for a DNA test. And then they will tell you how long ago I did what I did. To put a stop to what I don't want. You have the power to put a stop to what I told my mother. When she had the last child, I told her, you have one more kid, you are in trouble with me. You are not in trouble with any of these kids but me. You can't have kids anymore. I took my mother for a walk. Said, Mom, let's go for a walk. My mother said, okay. My mother is not used to going for a walk. I said, Mom, wear something, let's go for a walk. My mother went for a walk with me. I said, Mama, let's sit down and let's talk. I said, Mom, I feel bad for you that almost every year you have babies. It makes me very sad for you. I do not want you to be having kids anymore. Because once my mom got pregnant, how I know my mother is pregnant, you see her calves will swell up. Twice that size, her legs will swell up. I hated that. I hated to see my mother pregnant almost every other year. Almost every year, it makes me sad. So we had that talk. My mother said, okay, what do we do now? I told my mother what to do. A child is giving a mom an advice. Say, Mama, this is what you're going to do. My mom said, who told you all this? I said, I find out for myself. I was crying and I was telling my mother, I said, I don't want you to die before your time. Then after that, the next day I took my father, said, Daddy, we need to go for a walk so that I can buy you some tea. We can go have some tea and so on. My father said, what do you want to say? I said, I don't want to say nothing. I just want to be with my dad. So I hold my dad's hand and I said, Dad, let's go for a walk. So we went out. And while I bought tea, because my dad knew that I had my own money. Was the only child in the family that had my own money. I said, Dad, I want to appeal to you for something. He said, yes, what is it? Tell me anything, I'll do it for you, son. I said, can you stop making Mom pregnant? My father was very quiet. He said, did your mom tell you to come and tell me this? I said, no. I said, because I've told Mom not to make any more babies. I think we should close it. We are big. And I said, Dad, I know why you and Mom had many kids. None of us was planned. I told my mom and my dad. We were not planned for. And that's why we don't have the quality of life we should have. My father was highly respected, but they had no quality life. And my father died without enjoying the fruit of his labor. So I said, Dad, I would like you to do everything in your power not to have any more babies. Mom shouldn't have any more babies. You shouldn't make any more babies. Let's work and make this family great. It was hard for my father. I said, I know why both of you had children. You had children because you are the only child of your mother. And my mom, I don't know the real story about my mother. That's something that is beyond me. She has not told me much. Because I knew she had brothers. I don't think she has sisters. I don't really know. They never tell their stories. So you don't know. In Africa, our parents never tell us their stories. They never tell us the stories of their families. So we don't know. They just die like that. They die with all of that. So what about if they had kids outside? So what? We will never know. What about if they had land, property, money somewhere? We never know. Nobody knows anything. Nobody tells you anything. Nobody. That's the saddest part of it. After I had that story with them, my father's attitude towards me changed. For a whole year, my father was very cold towards me. I changed another thing in my family. When anybody make mistake, or there was a particular test that any of the children failed, my father beat them miserably. Why? Because what he couldn't be, the children are struggling to be. So I could tell. And I was the one who stepped in And I told my father, you can never beat my mother. Under no circumstances are you allowed to put your hand on her. He said he is the husband and is the head of the family. He has the right to discipline. I said, no, you are not. I told my father, you are not. I am. I told my father that. I am in charge of the family, not you. You cannot beat any of the siblings, including me. If you do, I'll kill you. That's what I told my father. My mother was there listening to that conversation. My father was cold towards me for a whole year or two. Then slowly he found out that everything that I told him was the right thing. And my father came out of it and began to praise me and embrace me and began to love me, because he found out that I had what it takes to become whatever I wanted. My father will ask me, how do you get money? I will buy my father gifts and my mother gifts. And they will ask me, where do you have them? I say, you don't need to worry about it. I work for it. So you see, you find yourself from a poor background. You begin since you are young to do something to get out of it. That's how life is. Problem should not limit you. And you should never limit yourself because of problems. Write that down as a powerful key. Problems should not limit you. Shante, write it down. Mary, you guys should go into actions. Samantha, problems should never limit you. And you should never limit yourself because of problems. Problem is telling you that you are better. There is something better about you. Do something about your life. Imagine a child told a parent, no more kids. And they listen. No more beating or flogging. I told my father, I will prefer you to sit us down and demonstrate for us what you are talking about instead of talking about it. I told my father that. My father said, who are you to talk to me like that? I am your father. I said, no. But remember that you are head of this family and I'm a co-head of this family. Because my brother didn't care. So I took over from him quickly. You can't, you demonstrate for us. Don't talk about it. You go to Africa, a lot of husband and wife cannot even show affection, emotion, romance, nothing. They just have kids. When the kids go into university or high school, they start sending them to one uncle or to one auntie, to the other to help out. Mary, is that not true? That is where abuse. Yeah, that's where the abuse of kids begin to happen. Everybody begin to abuse you because they know that you are from a poor background. I refuse to accept that from anybody. Because I told myself, I have what it takes to be better than what I was born into. And I began to run the life of the rich and the privileged children. They began to depend on me for something. They have to pay me for me to teach them after school classes. I began to teach after school classes to the children of the rich and mighty, and their parent paid me big money. My parent didn't know that that was what I was doing. I was doing some of those things. You don't think I'm going to teach you for free. I learned a long time ago that I should make a profit out of everything. I went to the governor's mansion and I was full of jealousy and envy when I saw their house is a 2 or 3 story building built in front of the Atlantic Ocean. Their backyard is the Atlantic Ocean. Everywhere you turn to, you are looking at the ocean. Helicopter touchdown right there. See their garage full of choicy cars. You enter the house, this good smell from the kitchen, whether they are roasting a lamb or chicken or something, is hitting you big time. Who doesn't like that? The mistake of not planning for children. At least you planned. If the child doesn't want it, you know you've done your best. We want to take a break for a few minutes. We are coming to the second mistakes people make. The first one is about not planning to have kids.